Welcome back to Retro Tech Toys. Today we're going to have a look at this MIVO Standard 150. It's the easiest way to email. It's portable, you can read and write anywhere, it's simple, it's got a one-step setup, it's convenient, comfortable, and smart because it has spell check, address book, and an indicator light that announces new emails. Ooh, I'm excited. This was made by CIDCO. Now, later on, Earthlink bought them out, and Earthlink had their own versions of these, which were essentially pretty close to the same thing with a couple of different features. This one was one of the first ones they put out. The very first one was a 100. This is the 150, so slightly upgraded. What this guy can do, he can do a couple of things, but the most important thing that he did was send personal email without the PC. Now, it's hard to see here, but it has a 6 by 2.25 display. It's got a 17.5 millimeter pitch keyboard, 320 by 128 black and white LCD screen with adjustable viewing angle. The dimensions are 9.5 by 11.5 by 1.5. It weighs 2.4 pounds. It does have a printer port. And it's got a whole 384K of memory, or approximately 100 typed pages of text. It runs on 4 AA batteries or with an AC adapter, and if you put batteries in, it's supposed to have a 4 to 6 week battery life. Now, that all sounds good to me. In the 90s, that would be pretty amazing. I believe this came out around 98. I got this recently for about 10 bucks. It was somewhere local that had it, and I popped in and grabbed it really quick. And I was surprised to see it came in the original box. It's got all the original stuff with it. So let's have a look and see what's inside. All right, looks like we have our quick start card. And we've got our warranty information and all that good stuff in here. And that doesn't look like it's been touched. We got some bubble wrap. I'm not sure if that came with it or not. We got a phone cable for your modem. We've got a power cable. And the other thing is the main device itself. I got to tell you, I love these little things, like these gadgets that we had in the 90s that we were trying to sell as like email appliances. And there was one that they sold as a kitchen appliance in the early 2000s that did basic internet. I love this stuff. I mean, now we consider it kind of hokey because we have smartphones and all that stuff, but we didn't have all that back then. You had a big bulky computer or a big bulky laptop. And I mean, there were Palm PDAs and all that good stuff, but this was truly, in my opinion, pretty remarkable. So I'm going to get the box out of the way and we're going to check it out. So there's the main device itself. And here's the power cable that we don't need. And, this isn't really a thing anymore. So here it is. This is the CIDCO. And look at that. The top pops right up. I love that. That is so cool. Now, I opened this already, and the batteries that were inside were disgusting and corroded. But fortunately for us, it looks really clean in here, so it didn't leak into anything. Like, it's not dirty at all. If you can see inside there, it looks great. So let's populate this with some batteries, and let's see if the batteries work. And it's much nicer to use this with the batteries than it would be. Well, look there, and we're in. This is the MIVO 150, and it looks like it belonged to Aunt Bonnie. Now, I'm okay with showing that because this isn't a service that exists anymore unless you have the device itself. I think Earthlink actually still supports these if you have the original device, but they don't allow anyone to sign up for the service going forward, and they don't let you transfer your stuff to a new device. So you had to have had the device, been paying for the subscription, and be grandfathered in. A little bit about this. Like I said, you have 384K of RAM. There's a little bit of storage space and stuff on there. There's not a whole lot going on. It does have, if you look around the back, it's got your phone and modem line, and it's got the DC barrel jack. It's got a reset button, and there's your printer port. So it takes certain printers. It won't take any printer, but it does take some. And here it is. You can adjust the brightness back here. That looks pretty good. And you've got all sorts of buttons. You can get your email, and there's a select button and a spell check. And all these buttons will take you to these tabs. So if you want to check your inbox, you can press that button. And it looks like there was an email in there from Brenda. So I'm not going to read that right now, but that's cool. There are still some emails and stuff in there. So you can print it, you can go to the main, or you can go back. So let's go back to the main. And there's an outbox and all sorts of cool stuff. And you can also scroll. And you can create a new email. You can check out your address book. There are extras. You got a calculator, a calendar, a sent mail, and you can go into settings. And that's to set up your account. That doesn't do anything else with the brightness or with the keyboard or any of that good stuff. So let's go ahead and go back. And what I'll do is we'll create an email, and you can see how this types. So the keyboard is really awful. I got to be honest. It's a little bit squishy and requires quite a bit of pressure to type anything. So yeah, there's that. And it doesn't do a whole lot more aside from that. I think I would have really liked to have one of these back in the 90s. I know like the web TV and all that stuff was going on, and I was aware of it. But, I just had, a regular Windows 3.1 and then later a Windows 95 machine. And I didn't even get a Windows 98 machine until probably the year 2000 or so. This thing is really cool. It looks like it's got a little speaker here. Clearly it doesn't work very well for us right now, because this service, we can't sign up for it. There were efforts to hack these and to put CP/M on them and other operating systems, because the processor inside is actually a Z80 CPU, which, as we all know, is a very popular CPU. It's a really popular processor. So about 10 years ago, there was somebody that was trying to hack him, and he built his own OS, and he actually built an emulator for this so you could develop things and test. Flashing it on here is really difficult. He had this whole system that he built up. And I looked at the pictures, and it's just nothing I even want to mess with. But I'll put the link below in the description if any of you want to check it out. We had all sorts of these things in the late 90s and early 2000s. They remind me of the Alpha Smart. And the Alpha Smart is a little word processor that was used for the longest time, and actually writers still use these. These are still really popular. They're not made anymore, but they're extremely popular with people who like to write on the go, and it does turn quite a few heads at Starbucks. But this is the Alpha Smart Dana, and it is the wireless model, so there is a way for it to connect to the internet, but I don't know if that even works anymore. I'll have to give it a shot later. I plan to do another video on these because this runs Palm OS, so this is just a Palm device, and it's really, really nice to type on. So take your stylus here. If you go into Alpha Word, and you can also hold down the button to turn on a backlight. You can type all sorts of things. The only bad thing about it is that it lays flat, but I usually put a book under it, and it works really well. I actually used this when I was publishing and writing professionally. I use this thing all the time to write stories. It's great. It's just got a regular stylus, and it's really simple to use, and it's got a rechargeable battery. So I actually took the old battery out that was dead, and I wired a couple of new batteries in, so it charges, and you can charge it from the DC port. It's got 2 SD card slots, and you got to put 512 megabyte SD cards in there. But you can also plug this up to your computer via USB and use it as a keyboard. But, we did all sorts, like I said, we did all sorts of hokey things like that in the 90s, that were really cool. Another one I've got here is the Palm M100 handheld. Look at this. This thing's all sorts of crazy. Boom, you got a keyboard. And this is actually not a bad keyboard. Now, this has virtually the same OS as the Alpha Smart Dana, but you just use it like this as a PDA. And these are very simple. They're simple devices, and while these devices are different from this one, they all had similarities. There were all sorts of things that you could do with them. Keep information and addresses on all of these so you could keep up with your contacts. You could write memos on these too. I mean, technically, you could write memos on this if you just created an email and sent it to yourself. So versions of these had limited web browsing, stocks and news and all that stuff. So I really was excited to find this, and I'm happy I was able to show it off to you guys. And if you're interested in how to hack these, because you can get these for 10 or 15 bucks. So if you're interested in how to hack these, I'd be happy to leave a link below and show you the information that I read. And these I'm going to feature later because you can do all sorts of things with these Palm devices. You can play games on them. You can do all sorts of things. So I plan on doing another thing on these later, but I just wanted to have them out to compare them to this because these are very similar devices, and I thought that's so cool that, you know, you had several different companies that came up with really similar ideas back then. And I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Thank you so much for watching Retro Tech Toys. I'll see you very soon with another video. Check out my Twitter. Hit subscribe and like if you like the content. Hit the notification bell if you want to know when we come out with new content. And check out the website at retrotechtoys.com. So until the next video, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.